Are you drowning in money questions but too embarrassed to ask? Tired of scrolling endlessly through conflicting financial advice that leaves you more confused than when you started? Welcome to the Finance Girlies podcast, your cozy corner for all things finance. I'm your host, Emily.
And I'm your host, Cassidy. We're both finance writers for brands like Forbes Advisor, USA Today Blueprint, and Yahoo Finance. Throughout our careers and personal lives, we have come to one realization. When we keep our money worries to ourselves, we end up feeling alone. That's why each episode we tackle those burning questions you've been afraid to ask with no judgment, no jargon, just real talk about real money. Ready to finally get answers? Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to the Finance Girlies podcast. Today we're talking about something that affects all of us but rarely gets discussed in financial conversations, and that is the relationship between our health and our money.
Whether you're managing a chronic condition or just trying to take care of yourself in general, health expenses can take up a significant portion of anyone's budget. And I think most people would agree that health spending isn't optional, it's an absolute necessity. But when the cost of doctor's visits, therapy, even high-quality food can feel prohibitive, how can you prioritize well-being without sacrificing your other financial goals?
That's why we're super excited about today's conversation specifically. We've brought on someone who's navigated this balance firsthand, and now she's showing others how to do it too.
Amanda Bourbonais is the founder of Health First Freelancer, where she helps people managing chronic illnesses build sustainable freelance businesses.
She's grown her own business to six figures while putting her health needs first. What stands out about Amanda's approach is how she's positioned health as a non-negotiable in her budget, not an afterthought.
We think there's something valuable here for all of us, regardless of our specific health situations. So let's get started.
Amanda, welcome to the show. Before we dive in, can you tell our listeners a bit about your journey with chronic illness and how it led to you creating Health First Freelancer?
Yeah, 100%. Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm super excited for our conversation today. Yeah, and just to kind of let everyone know a little bit about me, I have chronic Lyme disease. I was diagnosed in 2019. I've actually had previous chronic illness before that, but for our purposes today, we'll start there. And I kind of had a whole health crisis that year, which led me down this path of figuring out how to support myself financially and how to have a career while also managing my health and prioritizing my health, which was something that I was not super conscious of prior to this health crisis and Lyme diagnosis. So it was a very eye-opening time, but what came out of it was creating my freelance business, which really started from the foundation of needing to prioritize my health, needing to manage my own time and energy how I saw fit. I like to tell people I started my business so that I could take naps during the day whenever I wanted to. That was like a foundational reason for me. And basically just do the things that I needed to do during the day to take care of myself, which weren't really possible, like going into an office, working for longer than a few hours a day, kind of all the constrictions and we're used to with a quote unquote regular job. So yeah, I started my business in 2020. As I think many of us did during the pandemic, and I was still kind of on this journey of recovering my health and learning about lots of different types of holistic health practices and things to manage Lyme. And fortunately, I found Write Your Way to Freedom, which is that's how we all met, online copywriting course. And that kind of helped me build freelance copywriting business where I could prioritize my health and do the things that I need to do to take care of myself. So yeah, for me, it was about, say, from the end of 2019 is when I first seriously started considering freelancing, to about the end of 2020 when things started to really get going for me and I started getting clients. So it took me about a year to kind of figure it out, but that really helped me build slowly and sustainably and set myself up in a way that supported my health and set me up for the long term.
Was your diagnosis what led to you seeking out a career path like freelancing, or were you already interested in it? Because it seems like those timelines are kind of right next to each other.
Yeah. I think maybe it had been in the back of my head before at some point, but no, the diagnosis and the health issues is definitely what pushed me towards that path. It just became super clear to me sort of coming out of the other side of that and starting the recovery process that I really, really needed a way to make money that would not have me going into an office every day. Just doing like, just getting up at a certain time and like having a commute and even like sitting in a space for multiple hours that wasn't my own space were all extremely taxing for me at the time. And I think still would be to me today. So yeah, it was a huge motivator. My health was a huge motivator for me, if not the primary motivator for starting my business.
Can you talk a little bit about like transitioning? I mean, I know you still are a copywriter, but starting Health First Freelancer and like at what point you decided to do that. And then also like, what does being a Health First Freelancer mean to you in practice?
Yeah, I would love to talk about that. So yeah, I started thinking about Health First Freelancer and helping other folks with chronic illness build a business that puts their health first. I feel like I started kind of thinking about that from the beginning. Like as soon as I kind of started getting traction in my own business and doing the freelance thing, I was like, oh my God, people need to know about this. Like, I felt like, obviously no one had ever really told me that this was an option. Didn't learn about this like as a career path in school. And yeah, so everything was totally new to me, but it became clear very quickly to me that it was ideal for, at least for me as a person with chronic illness, because it was so flexible and I could really prioritize like certain tasks at certain times of the day when I knew I would have more energy, and like rest at other times of the day. I also very quickly realized that I did not need to work 8 hours, and that didn't have to be the norm. To this day, it's 4 hours or less usually. I have been able to like increase my capacity and my energy since that time, but I say I make a full-time income on part-time hours, and that was always the goal. So yeah, so from the beginning I was like, I feel like I need to shout this from the mountaintops. More people need to know, particularly folks with chronic illness, because I think a lot of people are just killing themselves to just get by, and it doesn't have to be that way. So yeah, and then I kind of seriously started considering the community probably last year around this time, maybe a little earlier. I had been kind of mulling over the idea for many months before that, to be honest with you, but only kind of started putting the pieces in place about a year ago. And originally I thought I was going to do an online course, and I went to a conference last year, the ConvertKit conference called Craft and Commerce, which is all creators and people with online businesses. And after that conference, I was kind of convinced, okay, maybe it's not a course, maybe it's a community. And I really was taken with this idea of there is no one way to create your business. And I certainly don't feel comfortable with telling people how they should manage their health. It's all kind of about figuring out what works best for you. And there are, of course, certain tools and practices that I can share with people that have helped me along the way. But I think the far more valuable tool is just having a space for people to come together and share their experience, share what they're working on, share what their goals are, and what particular type of freelance business they want to create, and just kind of have that space for collaboration and creativity and supporting each other on the journey. So that's kind of the foundation and the genesis of Health First Freelancer.
And then I know I asked you 2 questions at once, so
I know I
I'm
forgot
gonna
the
ask
other
you
one.
the second one. I know, but thank you. That was great. Yeah. So what does it mean to be a Health First Freelancer to you?
So basically, Health First Freelancer means that my business prioritizes my health. It doesn't prioritize making money. It doesn't prioritize serving a million clients. It prioritizes me and my well-being. And that as I kind of mentioned, that's very much the stance I took from the beginning of my business. So it's very kind of baked into my journey and how I've grown things. And so, yeah, that's kind of the foundational philosophy. And I think people who don't experience chronic illness, maybe they go into building a business in a way that that can maybe be sometimes destructive to their health or come at the cost of their health. So it's really pushing it back against that model and putting health at the forefront of your business and kind of just incorporating it into everything you do. So that can look like what kinds of clients you take on, what kinds of projects you do, setting boundaries with your clients and like having clear deliverables, clear timelines. So it all kind of comes back to, I feel like, the things that we all know we should be kind of doing as freelancers, but with this philosophy of it's for your health.
Yeah, that is so beautiful and so needed, because I feel like in general, a lot of the like build your own business or start your own freelance business kind of mentality is to like hustle, go,
Yeah.
like see how big you can grow this thing. And the freelance course that we all took together challenged that mindset a little bit of being like, actually, you can make your freelance business whatever you want it to be, like whether you have kids and need to work less. But I feel like you're coming at it through this even more niche lens of being like, no, this is for people who literally can't and like need to put themselves first in every single aspect of being a business owner. And that is just really, really beautiful. I feel like what you're doing is so needed in this space.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you hear so many stories of people, or I have, of like kind of big time online business owners who like after 5 or 10 years of success are finally like, okay, and now I'm going to get healthy. Like,
yes,
they've like built this crazy thing, but as you said, like at the expense of their health. And then only then are they like, okay, and now it's time.
Right.
So.
Or worse, 5 or 10 years in, they burn out or something happens with their health. And then they realize, oh, crap, I screwed up. And I should have been taking better care of myself this whole time. And now there's, a health consequence that has come about from that. Yeah. So that's what we're trying to prevent.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into the connection between money and health, because I don't think it's always obvious. So, Amanda, when did you first realize your health needed to be a financial priority?
Oh my goodness. Definitely that, like around the time of my Lyme diagnosis and the whole health journey around that. So when I was diagnosed, I had like 1 year left on my mom's insurance. I was like approaching the cutoff very rapidly. And so I had that, but at the same time, traditional medicine, conventional medicine was failing me. I wasn't getting any answers in that arena. So I was essentially forced to look elsewhere and ended up seeing a naturopathic doctor who really started to get me on the right track with nutrition and some various other protocols and supplements and things like that. And then I ended up seeing another practitioner who's also in the alternative health kind of space and does frequency medicine treatments, which is like a whole other can of worms. So neither of these practitioners were or are covered by health insurance. So, but I was seeing results from them. I was feeling better, and it became clear very quickly that investing in my health was the best thing that I could do for myself. And it certainly was coming at a cost, but when your health is in jeopardy, there's kind of nothing you won't pay to fix it. So kind of from the beginning, I was like, okay, I need to make X amount of money. And I know that these, treatments that I was getting were a foundational part of that. Health is kind of baked into my budget the same way rent and food and utilities are for most people.
I have a question. Once you were no longer on your mom's insurance, did you go and find health insurance on the marketplace, or what does that look like? Okay.
Yeah, I did. The journey with health insurance has been interesting. I mean, early on, I wasn't making barely any money. By the time I was starting to feel better, I did go and get a part-time job doing proofreading and editing, which is kind of what I was doing before. So I had that to at least cover some things, but I was making like $20,000 a year tops. So yeah, I just applied for insurance through the marketplace, and I think I just got either a catastrophic or bronze level plan that was like fully covered. My goal was to not pay for health insurance because I wasn't using my health insurance for my particular medical needs. So that for me, it was just for emergencies only, and still is to this day, really. So yeah, over the years, I've kind of just tried to balance the coverage with, the cost, as everyone does, but also knowing that coverage wasn't really going to do anything for me anyway. So I might as well sort of get the cheapest plan with the most reasonable, coverage, and allocate the rest of my kind of health budget to the things that actually move the needle for me.
That sounds like a wise observation to have made before you went out searching for a plan. Do you know what percentage of your budget typically goes toward health expenses and how that has evolved as your business has grown?
That's a good question. It depends on the month, but I would say a quarter, maybe. It's pretty high. Yeah. So I'm spending typically anywhere between like $1,000 and $1,500 a month on health-related things. That includes these frequency medicine treatments, which I still do and are probably like the majority of the cost. That also includes supplements, and I have one prescription. I do pay some for health insurance, although that used to come out of my business. Now I have CrowdHealth, which I think we're going to talk about in a little bit, and that is a personal expense, not a business expense, unfortunately. But yeah, that's all kind of wrapped up into my health budget.
And then my follow-up question was going to be how do you deal with the fact that these expenses take up such a big chunk of your monthly expenses? But I think you've already hinted at that by saying your brain just treats it as rent, utility bills, it's just another part of your let's keep the lights on kind of set of expenses.
Yeah, I mean, it's not to say I don't have emotional turmoil over it,
For sure.
I think one of the limiting beliefs I have is, I will not often, but sometimes find myself saying to myself, if I didn't have this, think about how much farther I would be in my savings goals, vacation. Something I've been working on for the last couple of years is I really want better quality clothing and to invest in my wardrobe. There's a lot of things where it feels like if I could just snap my fingers and all of that would be taken care of if I didn't have these health expenses. But at the same time, it is kind of just ingrained into my budget and my spending at this point. And I'm so grateful that I can afford it as well. Not, a lot of people don't have the budget for the kinds of treatments and things I do. So yeah, and that's been a process of building that over time. And I also try to not, overly spend on it. I feel like that I've done that in the past where I'm like, ooh, shiny new supplement, or I am a health experimenter at this point. I've very much become interested in just trying new things out. So sometimes I feel like I can just impulse buy something, but for the most part, it is pretty consistent month to month, even if it's higher than I would like.
Do you feel like you get a lot of Instagram ads and stuff shoved in your face
Oh, girl.
To like try. Okay. I feel like that would be the most tempting to me. And then all of the way that the ads are set up, I mean, it sounds like it's going to fix all your problems. So you're just like, you're like, should I try it? If I do identify as an experimenter, like, should I just experiment with this thing?
Right. The face wand.
Right.
Cassidy.
Right. Yeah. Like, I have rosacea. So anytime I get something that's like, this fixes your rosacea, I'm like, ooh, yeah, let me try it.
Yeah, the red light face masks. I definitely want one of those. Yeah, no, I should also say I write in the holistic health space. So it's really coming at me from all directions. But yeah, I am an experimenter at heart, so.
This is the perfect segue into our next question,
Ooh.
which is, how do you decide which health investments are worth it and which ones are not?
That's a really good question. I mean, at this point, between researching my own health issues and also writing in the space now for 5 years, I have built up quite a lot of knowledge about holistic health and supplements and like what to look for in certain products, how to tell if something is good quality. And honestly, a lot of times I will say, as much as I said just earlier that I impulse buy stuff, if I impulse buy something, it's usually like a supplement. It's usually like something relatively inexpensive. If there's something much more expensive I want to purchase, I'm usually sitting on it for like months. I'm usually like mulling it over and like reading the research and reading people's reviews and kind of just assembling as much information about it as I can. And also thinking about it from the perspective of like, okay, this might be like a really interesting new tool, health practice, whatever, but is it going to work for me? You know, I think it's, especially with some of like these more trendier products, it's easy to get caught up in the marketing, even for those of us who are writing it sometimes. And it's good to mull things over and think, you know, will I actually use this? Something I bought recently that's actually, it's more, I guess, for skincare. I got the New Face. It's like, do you guys know what that is?
Mm-mm.
Okay, it's a microcurrent device. So it sends like an electrical current into your face, and you like, it's kind of like doing gua sha, but with like this microcurrent thing.
Yes.
And after several months last year of having that, the Google page open on my phone, just like sitting there so I would see it every time I opened my browser. After a while, and I can't remember, I bought it on some sale and I started using it, and you know, I bought it for the intention of like, I turned 30 and I want to start taking better care of my skin. But I also realized like, oh, this is really relaxing actually. Like I found additional benefit from it just from that kind of like happy side effect. And that really helped me like stay more consistent in using it and actually enjoy using it. So and like I had read about people saying that. So that was I had kind of took that into consideration as far as like, this sounds really great and really cool and like very sciencey, but I'll also actually use it because it feels good. So yeah, kind of having, I guess, more than one reason for buying things and not putting all your eggs in one basket, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. For our listeners who might be dealing with chronic health issues but don't have a 6-figure salary or business, what are some ways that they can prioritize their health even on a tighter budget?
Oh my goodness. My non-medical supplement recommendation that I tell everyone is vitamin D. Kind of like your most basic place to start, I feel like, especially if you are interested in supplements, if you're interested in kind of moving the levers of nutrition to start making a difference in your health, but you're not sure where to start. Honestly, when I started working with my naturopathic doctor, the first thing he did was put me on high-dose vitamin D, and it had like a night and day effect for me. Wow. Within a week of taking it. I was like a different person. So
wait, question. Sorry to interrupt. Any chance this was like during the winter? Because I know you also live in a cold, dark place.
Good clarifying question. No, it was the middle of summer. Wow. Yeah, I started seeing him in July 2019. And I was just very sick and very depressed and very nutrient depleted. And I had been, to add some backstory, I had been playing around with some supplements on my own, just, to try stuff because I wasn't getting answers anywhere else. But his dosing recommendation was much higher. I simply wasn't taking enough. So yeah, he put me on quite a high dose, and I'm not saying everyone should do that or needs to do that. But I do find that for most people, vitamin D between 5,000 and 10,000 IUs, which is like most functional medicine doctors' recommendation, can start to make a noticeable difference within a few weeks. And, of course, like everyone's different, so you have to try things and see how they work for you. But yeah, that would be one place to start. And most, vitamin D supplements are like around $30 to $40 for a good one. I recommend a liquid version because you can like literally drop it under your tongue, add it to your coffee, add it to anything you want, really. It doesn't taste like anything. And you can, increase or decrease your dose as needed that way, much easier than like capsules.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be kind of like number one, like supplement place to start. If you're thinking about different ways to change your health that are not supplement related, I mean, if you're not already kind of prioritizing healthy meals in your life, that of course is the next place to start. Spending time in nature, honestly, is such an undervalued one. I think that most people don't realize. Go touch grass, go spend some time with some trees, take a walk in the woods, on the beach, spend some time in the sunshine. And it does honestly come back to the basics a lot of the time. And when you're just starting out, kind of experimenting with those things which are either free or perhaps you make like small changes or upgrades to your diet that, it's not like a huge impact in your budget, you can start moving the needle in that way.
Yeah, and even sometimes I think specifically with food, like a lot of times if you really think about eating healthier, you can even save money if you're like, buying whole foods and preparing them yourself. It can be overwhelming, I think, maybe if you're not used to doing that, and like it takes some time, but if you have a tight budget, I think that's still accessible.
Yeah.
Okay. Another thing we love talking about is the connection between money and mindset, and we know that you do too. So while your money mindset isn't the only thing that's going to improve your financial health, it is important. So we want to talk to you about it.
Sure.
So my first question to you is, what were some of the limiting beliefs about money that you had to overcome?
Oh my goodness. Like when starting my business?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I mean, all of them.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah. I think for me, especially up until that point, I had never made money outside of an hourly job. Honestly, I'd never even been salaried at my job, and I had never made more than $20 an hour. So it was a challenge for me to, untangle my time from money. However, I was super motivated to do that by my health. So I think that kind of helped balance that out in a way. I feel like I truly was delusional at the time of like, I really doubled down on like, I have to make this happen or there's no other option. So I feel like that really helped me with a lot of my limiting beliefs, not just around money, but yeah, that was a big one, time and money. I think from there, it was kind of just slowly building this muscle of charging, something for my work. And then, somebody accepted that price and I went, oh, okay, new baseline, I guess. And then, charge a little bit more the next time. And I remember also like with one of my first clients, I was negotiating a blog retainer with them and we got to the pricing part of the conversation. And I said $225 per blog, which was an increase for me from $150 per blog, which was my first client. And her eyebrows shot up. And I was like, oh no, I lowballed her. So I don't know, like little things like that. And then, I want to say within 3 months even, I think I increased that to 250 or 275. I can't remember which. But it was like having little moments like that where it kind of just innately challenged whatever, my baseline at the time. It just helped me slowly increase as I went. And I was super motivated to make more money, to increase my health budget, but also to move out of my mom's house. Mm-hmm. So that really helped me kind of push myself in terms of my money beliefs and keep kind of pushing forward when I think maybe other people would get stuck at the same level for a while.
Definitely. I would definitely say that health is a value of mine, and so I am willing to spend on it. But I sometimes still really struggle spending on it because I feel like things are just way more expensive than they should be. Mm. And then sometimes I think objectively they are in this country. But yeah, do you share this guilt and frustration, and how do you get past it?
Of just being reluctant to invest in certain things, or?
Yeah, just because you feel like, am I really going to spend this much on, I don't know. For me, and Cassidy and I have both in the past year started doing different exercise classes, and we both get so much out of it, but they're also expensive. So it's I know this is really good for me, but sometimes I still feel a tiny bit guilty, even though it's something I truly value.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think for me, actually, I don't feel that kind of guilt. And I think it truly comes from having experienced such a low point with my health that at this point, it really does feel like no expense is too great. Again, as long as I'm making a sound choice, and making an educated choice, and I've done my research on whatever the thing is. Yeah, I can't say I really have that because I have this comparison point of when I don't invest in my health, here's what happens. So I totally understand when you're coming from a place of your health is generally fine and you're kind of trying to build on creating better healthy habits and get yourself to an even better place, then I can see how that feels not as necessary maybe. But for me, it's there's a very stark contrast between where I was and where I am now, and investing in my health is what has gotten me to this point. So I have no qualms about that.
Yeah, that makes sense. For me, I guess, in this example I gave, it's more of an incremental difference. And so you don't see the payoff as much, I guess. I don't know if that's quite
do you get
the way I meant to word that, but
do you get the mental health benefits from it too, though?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that's where you see the most immediate benefit in, especially in stuff like exercise.
Yeah, and it's, again, maybe this wasn't the best example. For me, it's yoga because I do love it, and I'm not gonna stop anytime soon. I think it was just initially a tough pill to swallow.
I think there's also the conversation of am I really going to pay for yoga, or could I just look up free yoga videos on YouTube and stuff? Is there a less expensive way for me to do this, or am I actually going to pay $100+ a month for this thing? So
that's actually a good example of something I don't invest in, because I do enjoy doing workouts at home on YouTube in front of my television. I have experimented with exercise classes here and there, but I know for me that is an area where I can probably save my money, because I can get just as much value doing it from home by myself with no other eyeballs on me, and get just as much value from it.
Yeah, and it also sounds like maybe you have the freedom to modify things if your energy is lower versus being in a class. I went to I do Pure Barre, and I went to a class this morning, and it was the HIIT one, the high intensity interval training. And I mean, there were so many times I was I'm so tired. I can't possibly. But the instructor is like, Cassie, you got it. Like, go. And I'm like, no, I'm tired.
Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, let's kind of move on into some of the more practical advice, I guess. So we love to balance thoughtful conversations about money with tangible tips and real life numbers. So let's talk about budgeting and insurance for those with chronic illness or just anyone who generally wants to spend more on their health. So as we go through this next set of questions, feel free to get as detailed as you want. So yeah, can you walk us through what your monthly health budget actually looks like and like what types of categories you include? I know you kind of did this a little bit, but
Yeah. So it does vary a little bit from month to month. I think, like I said, my overall budget is between $1,000 and $1,500, and that's, I don't know if that seems like a wide range or not, but that's because there's like a certain treatment that I do every 8 to 10 weeks or so, and that's like quite expensive. So on the months when I have that, it's more. But yeah, for me, I would say the majority, well, maybe half of that cost is these frequency medicine treatments that I do, which I go into an actual clinic to do. I do various things that all kind of have different price points, so it depends. But I have kind of over the years figured out, okay, there's about like 3 things that really make a difference for me, and I kind of stick to those. So I have those, and then yeah, I take quite a lot of supplements. It is something I'm always like wanting to work on, but they really work for me. So at the same time, I'm like, okay. And that's probably like $300 to $400 a month, maybe. And I'm usually like, I'm not restocking every single thing every month. So it kind of rotates. And then from there, I include insurance in that cost, which for me this year is about a little less than $200 a month, which is really good at this point. I've paid at this point up to $250. I've been able to keep that cost quite low for myself over the years, as I mentioned, because I don't really use traditional health insurance. So for someone who needs a higher cost plan, that obviously that portion might be quite higher. And for example, I have someone in my community that her chronic illness is type 1 diabetes. So basically her entire cost of health, her health bucket is her health insurance, because that's how she gets insulin. So her health insurance costs might be over $1,000, but that's essentially the only thing she's paying for. Whereas I'm kind of dividing all my health costs into these different things, but I might be paying a similar amount to her, if that makes sense. So yeah, I think that's kind of the rough breakdown. And then I don't know, there might be sort of like ad hoc things here and there. Like if I end up having to go to Minute Clinic or something to get like a strep test, get sick here and there kind of stuff. But for most part, those are the kind of main categories.
Yeah. I think this is a good segue. We would love to hear more just about your experience with CrowdHealth as an alternative to traditional health insurance, specifically like what made you choose this option and would you recommend it to other people?
Yeah, for sure. So I just started with CrowdHealth for this year in 2025. And yeah, prior to this, as I said, I was buying health insurance through the marketplace. For the last couple of years, I had a bronze plan with an HSA, and I did really like having the HSA and being able to, put money aside in there for other health-related expenses. That's basically how I covered anything dental and vision related over the last couple of years. But I knew the cost was going to be going up again, and I decided I was, kind of looking into all of my options again at the end of last year and found CrowdHealth, which is a healthcare cost sharing membership, if you are not familiar. And essentially what it is you pay like a monthly membership fee to the organization, which is I think $55 a month for individuals. And then you pay, on top of that, you pay like a monthly contribution, which goes towards the crowd. So basically goes towards a giant pool of money that is then used for the healthcare expenses of everyone in the membership. And the organization is distributing these resources as needed as people are submitting requests for their healthcare. They also help you negotiate your bills to get like the best cost possible for whatever service you receive. Similar to regular health insurance, you have kind of like a primary care visit covered at no cost to you once a year. And the main benefit is that if you incur an emergency cost, or, you know, you have to go to the hospital, you have to get an ambulance, you break an arm, whatever it is, or you have, even if you have to have like an emergency procedure, cancer, pregnancy, they cover everything after a $500 like quote unquote deductible. That's not what they call it, but yeah. So per, what they say is per single healthcare event, you are responsible for the first $500, and then they will cover the rest. And like, if needed, they will help negotiate the out-of-pocket costs to you. And then the cost is distributed among the members, among the membership, and you basically get a payout and you pay your bill. So that's kind of how it works. And I decided that really appealed to me as someone who is not particularly using their health insurance on a regular basis. And, you know, all of my healthcare is alternative at this point. They also let you see like any provider you want, basically. Like, there's no networks. So I have a kind of like a functional medicine nurse practitioner that I see as my primary care. So she is covered, and it would not be in network anywhere else in like regular health insurance for me. So far I've found it to be a really great option. No emergency services have been needed, and knock on wood, they will not be. But essentially I'm using this plan as like for the exact same things I would be with traditional health insurance. And so far it's been great, and I'm paying less per month than I would be paying for regular health insurance. For individuals, it's the monthly membership fee, and then I believe it's like up to $95 is your like contribution to the crowd. And then they have different plans for if you're like a couple or a family, but for individuals, it's pretty much guaranteed under $200 a month, and sometimes it's less.
How do they determine that like contribution?
Like the monthly membership contribution? Yeah,
like I think you said up to $95
I'm
for an individual.
I'm not sure all the mathematics behind it, but they do have like different rates based on if you're an individual, a couple, or a family. So families, it's like up to $450 a month, I think, something like that. So, but for a lot of people, that's still very cost effective. So, yeah.
But do you know if it's like based on income, or maybe based on like health conditions, like self-reported health conditions or something?
I don't believe it's based on income. As far as I know, it's just based on how many people. They do. That makes sense. Yeah. They cover some chronic illness related expenses after you've been a member for 2 years, I think. 2 years or 3 years. So I cannot wait to test that theory, because that would change my life. Talk about changing your finances. But yeah, just the kind of the emergency coverage alone is worth it to me. Like, knowing if, for God forbid, I had to be in the hospital for some reason or broke a bone or something, it would be $500 out of my pocket, which is well within my emergency savings fund. And that would be that. So that alone is more than worth it. But yeah, it is worth noting that for right now, they don't really cover much chronic illness related expenses.
Okay, I have a side question. Whenever you file your taxes and it asks you the question, like, have you had health insurance all 12 months or whatever, do you click yes for CrowdHealth, or are you technically reporting that you don't have health insurance?
I don't know. I'm going to cross that bridge when I come to it. I suspect I just recently found out last month that CrowdHealth does not count the same as health insurance in terms of it being a business expense. So if that's any indication, I'm guessing the answer will be no, but they can't penalize you for that anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, that was my follow-up thought. I'm like, I know, like, if you clicked no on your tax return, for example, I'm like, what
do you want from me?
Like, right. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Do you have any advice or like practical tips you would give to freelancers who are worried about affording health insurance, especially those with pre-existing conditions?
Yes, 100%. First of all, I have a whole YouTube video I made about this on my YouTube. So if you search Health First Freelancer, you'll find that. And I'm sure that will be much more articulate than whatever I'm about to say, but I will give this a shot. I mean, my first thing is like, if you really want to make this happen for you, please don't let that be the thing that stops you. There are so many options. And I think especially when you're first starting out, depending on your, how much money you're making, health insurance can be extremely low cost or free through the marketplace because of government tax credits. So take advantage of those, especially when you're first starting out and you're not making very much money. You can get free or almost free health insurance. If you need a certain level of health insurance to cover, medications that you're on or providers that you're seeing, that's so individual, and you kind of have to look into it. What I would say is, figure out what it would actually cost you. Don't just let this imaginary number kind of hang over your head. Actually go on the marketplace, and I think they have some kind of calculator where you can, put in your information and what kind of plan you're looking for, and they can give you an estimate. So I would say that's kind of step number one. It might not be as much as you think. And if it's more than you think, I would say just kind of start planning for that and start realizing that that is going to be part of your costs as a freelancer, as a business owner, and kind of just start getting adjusted to that idea. I think it can be just a lot of times more of a mental block than kind of an actual roadblock. And it does not feel great to pay for health insurance, we all know, but I think you can make progress towards it, and especially if you're first starting out and you can utilize those tax credits to your advantage. It really helped. That's basically what I did, is I just kind of started from zero. And I'm also speaking from a place of like, I never had health insurance to begin with, since I was on my mom's plan. After that, like, I've never had a job that offered health insurance in the first place. So I had no other comparison, which I think actually really helped me out. So I kind of just took it as it came and figured it out. So that would be kind of my initial advice.
You're like, okay, I guess this is the price of health insurance.
Yeah. Right.
I have no previous experience.
And you can like build that into your pricing, or like let that be motivation to raise your rates.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
If you're a freelancer. That's a really good point, actually. That's kind of one of the things I did early on, was like figure out, okay, how much money do I have to make to cover rent, food, and insurance? Those are kind of my main costs. I was very fortunate at the time, and I still do have a car that is completely paid off. I paid for it in cash when I bought it. So those were kind of my thank you.
Silent snaps. That's amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, those were kind of my main expenses when I first started out, and I was happy to realize it wasn't as much as I thought, and it, actually figuring out the number made it feel more attainable to start actually taking the steps to get there.
Yeah, that's an excellent tip. Before we wrap up, we've already learned a little bit about Health First Freelancer, but we would love to hear more. Is there anything else you want to say in terms of like what inspired you to create it? And specifically, because I know you've already touched on that, if someone is listening and they're like, this might be the perfect community for me, what kind of support can they expect to receive?
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, the community is Health First Freelancer. It's on Mighty, if you're unfamiliar with that platform. It's, similar to Circle, kind of any other like hosting platform, but you get a conversation space where I have daily polls and questions to kind of help you think about certain things that will help you build your business or grow your business if you already have one. And, think about incorporating kind of the Health First philosophy into that business. And we have different themes every month. This month, we just started a new month, and our theme is vacation and time off. So we're actually kind of asking questions this month around how do you plan a vacation as a freelancer, as a business owner? How do you take time off for the holidays? How do you move work around to account for that time off while also not burning yourself out and kind of piling too much on your plate. So that's just kind of one example of some of the themes. We've also had themes like client outreach, building a community, all kinds of stuff. So that's kind of the conversation part of the community. We do have a weekly Q&A with myself and other members that you can join and get support on any kind of questions that are coming up for you, any challenges, stuff you want to talk through. A lot of times we kind of just end up updating each other on where we're at and how things are going. And it's really nice to kind of just connect with people that way. And I'm there, of course, to answer any questions, but also other members have various expertise that they can offer as well. So I'm not the guru here. I'm trying to just kind of facilitate a space where everyone can be heard and get some answers to their challenges. So that is another thing. And then I will bring in guest speakers periodically to teach workshops and have, feedback from the community as well. And then those live in our resource library as a replayable video anytime you wish to watch it. And we'll occasionally do a challenge. So last month, our theme was time and energy management. So we did a 1-week challenge where everyone kind of picked a time blocking method or some kind of different way to restructure their time and see how that worked for them in their workflow, in their business, and if it helped, if making that change helped them manage their time and energy better. So we'll do things like that periodically. Am I missing anything? Resource library, also I'm kind of working on various resources for the community, but I'm trying not to make it like a content thing, I'm really trying to promote the community as kind of the main value. I think particularly with AI now and ChatGPT, I find that not that content is ever going to go away, but you can ask AI a very detailed question related to your specific situation and get a very good answer most of the time. So I'm trying not to overwhelm anybody with the content side of things. But yeah, those are the main pieces of the community. Oh, and we do have a section of the community called the Struggle Bus, which is
adorable.
Yeah. So that's a specific place where if you are going through a particularly tough health challenge, you can share there and either just ask for support from the community, or if you want, ask for advice. And there's very specific protocols around that. So you're not getting unwanted advice if you don't want it, but you can also kind of share and be supported there if you wish. So yeah, those are kind of the main parts of the community. And I would say the best way to find me right now is on YouTube, and just watch some of my YouTube videos, get a vibe for Health First Freelancer and kind of my way of doing things. And you'll find links to my email list and the community there as well.
I love the Struggle Bus. I feel like
thank you so much.
That is worth it alone, to just have a place where you can be like, hey everyone, I'm struggling with this thing. Can you please just
send me all the gifts and the emojis? Yeah, that was very much born out of the idea of there's so many just soul-sucking chronic illness Facebook groups. And I knew that I did not want this to turn into anything like that, but I still wanted people to feel comfortable with sharing what they're going through if they wanted to, and if they wanted, members' perspective or just wanted to share. So that's kind of why it's this little separate space, and there's very specific rules around how to how to post and how to ask for support, but it is still there. So yeah, that's kind of the idea.
I love that. Last question before we wrap up. What's a success story that you have from your community that you're proud of or want to share?
Ooh, there are lots of little ones. Honestly, it's just started since the beginning of January. So, members are definitely still working on their businesses and growing. I think to me, so far, it's just been seeing everyone's posts and comments in the conversation space and sharing their progress. And then, I think something that happens a lot is someone will share something they're doing and then another person will jump in and be like, oh, I never even thought of that. Like it never occurred to me to do it that way. So it's like seeing people's brains change in real time. It's really great. And yeah, I think just some of the mindset shifts so far I've seen people have around, how this can look for them and how they can build a business in a way that's healthy for them has been really, really beautiful so far.
This has been such a great conversation, so thank you for sharing your story with us. We love how you've created this whole approach that doesn't force people to choose between their health and their finances. But before we let you go, we have a few quick questions to throw your way in a rapid fire round.
Hit me.
So, first, what is one health expense that's been absolutely worth every penny?
Ooh, it's a really good question. Oh, I got a good one. Let's see. In 2021, I invested in my infrared sauna. Yes. So I have an infrared sauna. It's the Sunlighten Solo Sauna. So how it works is actually you lay down in it, and it's like this sort of like shell pod thing you pull up over you. So your head stays out, but the whole rest of your body is inside. And obviously it heats up quite hot, and you just lay in there and get really sweaty. And it has like a red light therapy strip on it. And I originally bought it because I was actually going to a spa that had sauna, and I was doing that and experimenting with that as kind of part of my Lyme protocol. And I honestly don't know that I don't think I do it enough for it to really have measurable effects on the Lyme, but it is just so nice, especially in the winter. And I do find it's a huge mood boost as well. So yeah, I mean, whenever I live in Wisconsin, by the way, so whenever we have really, really cold winter days, I'm like, yes, it's a sauna day. I can just jump in there, and since I work from home, even like in the middle of the afternoon sometimes, like sauna break, just go in there and get nice and warm and toasty. And yeah, it's really amazing.
I love a sauna.
Yeah.
But I've never tried an infrared one.
I was going to say, does the infrared make you feel like the sun is actually hitting your body?
That's a good question.
That might just be my lack of knowledge around infrared saunas. But I know I love when I'm outside and I feel like the sun, I'm just like a lizard and the sun is just like heating me up. So I didn't know if it was that kind of sensation where you're like, I feel the heat.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely feel the heat. I don't know. I can't compare. I mean, I also haven't done... Have I done a traditional sauna? I don't think I've done a traditional sauna that's like a steam sauna. That doesn't appeal to me at all. Infrared sauna is the health benefits of it are, it's supposed to, like, the heat and the light are supposed to penetrate your skin deeper than a regular sauna would. So it's really supposed to like promote more detoxification and circulation, and especially for, people with Lyme, chronic infection, mold illness, etc., like really get to those pathogens and kind of flush them out. So that's kind of the idea behind the infrared sauna specifically, but it also doesn't get as hot as a traditional sauna. So while the heat is like going deeper into your skin and into your body, you're not feeling quite so hot as a traditional sauna.
Nice. Okay.
So much for the rapid fire. We totally derailed that conversation.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Flip side of that question. What's a health expense you tried that turned out to be not so worthwhile?
There have been a few. Oh, I did hyperbaric oxygen one time. which is, again, another kind of holistic treatment where you go in this pod and it's like sealed from the outside and they like flood it with oxygen, and you kind of just lay in there for a while. And yeah, again, this was like a Lyme treatment I tried, and I did it maybe 2 or 3 times, and I just didn't, and it was kind of expensive, and I just didn't notice any benefit from it. So I stopped.
Okay, what is one piece of financial advice you wish someone had given you at the beginning of your freelance career?
Ooh.
Or that someone did give you that you appreciated?
I think something that Sarah talked about very early on was like challenge yourself to raise your prices before you think you're ready. And I definitely took that to heart because I was like, I gotta make money now. And something that kind of related to that, something that I started doing basically from the beginning of my business that I don't think really anyone told me to do, I just kind of did it, was I like thought of what I wanted to charge for whatever it was, and then I added 10% to like just make it a little bit more uncomfortable, and then I charged that. And so far that's worked out. So there might be a method to the madness.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Okay, lastly, remind our listeners, where can they connect with you? Where can they learn more about Health First Freelancer?
Yes, 100%. Please connect with me on YouTube. Health First Freelancer is my channel, and you'll find links to my email list and to the actual Health First Freelancer community there if you wish to check it out. I am technically on Facebook and Instagram, but I'm actually moving away from those platforms, at least for the foreseeable future. I just decided I really do not care to be on social media, and I would much rather focus on kind of long form platforms. So YouTube is where I'm at. And yeah, you could also email me at amanda@healthfirstfreelancer.com if you want to just reach out and say hi.
Awesome. We'll also be sure to include those links in our show notes too, so for anyone listening, you can find them there. But thanks so much for joining us, Amanda. We are so grateful for your time. I know I learned a lot. I know Emily did. Our jaws were dropped a lot of the times as you were talking. So thank you for being here, and we will see you next time, girlies.
Thank you so much.
That's a wrap on another episode of the Finance Girlies podcast. Nothing in this episode is meant to be taken as financial advice.
Please do your own research and talk to a professional if you need advice. As always, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Love you. Bye.